Hey everybody, good morning. This is Geebz here on the Decomposer Lounge. And, I've been trying to figure out a way to talk about AI and music, artificial intelligence, the new trend of discussion about artificial intelligence and how it could help music, how it could ruin music. And the only way that I can come at this first is to say, if you're in a band and if you are in the good old world of standing up and performing and playing, I think we're really safe from any kind of AI infiltration. And what I mean by that is every single video that I have on this channel is of artists, bands, band members, musicians bringing their own skill set and creativity together to form a song. Well, most of them. I'd say 95%. But where I think I'm about to come from on this, and I'll try to make this fast, and I'm not known for short videos, but, just from living through it, in the 70s when the synthesizers first came out, it didn't quite creep anybody out as far as Oogie Boogie, who's going to take the work away from me by the synthesizer. Now, until like the DX7, the Yamaha DX7 came out, the Linn drum machine, or the TR-808, not so much. The Linn drum machine, maybe a little more. And back in the day, there was a lot of conversation in the early 80s about the pop culture trend is to use these gadgets for a new sound to produce music, right? So there was a big flush of, or influx, of music that had a ton of the same DX7 bass or Linn drum machine sounds and stuff. And then they cycled and they rinsed through. And at the same time, MIDI came out in the early to mid 80s. And as MIDI came out, the next conversation was it might put studios out of business because back in the day, you'd have to go to a studio to do a demo. But now, an artist like Madonna can take an 8-track, stripe one track with SMPTE, do her work with MIDI and vocals, and just maybe go somewhere for a vocal overdub, if at all. And now she's selling millions of units. Oh, this is going to destroy the industry as a whole. That was, NEM, it's a twister, kind of thing that was going on there. But what that small movement did was actually push more people to get involved in the music industry. As technology pushed forward through the 80s, through the 90s, the accessibility of being able to create your music in your own home studio become greater and greater and greater and less expensive in accordance to the day. Now fast forward through all kinds of outboard gear, synthesizer stuff, samplers and stuff that you can get, and the music industry didn't suffer. It didn't suffer. And I know some people are saying, well, wait a second, this isn't really the subject matter. The subject matter is, will AI, quote unquote, ruin the music industry? The real underlying conversation is the authenticity, copyright, derivative, the word derivative. There's going to be a lot of wordplay coming around, I think, when it comes to deciphering what AI may or may not do. We have to wait and see. But as we push forward into the 2000s, and then now even to this day, even at the beginning with GarageBand, you bought an Apple laptop or something, you got a little thing called GarageBand. Now, did a few tracks make it out into the pop world using GarageBand? Sure, absolutely. But the masses of it didn't. Still relied on somebody playing the drums and, doing all that sort of stuff. Now, excuse me, because of certain pop culture music genres that relied more on just taking a chunk of this with a drum beat and doing this or whatever the case is, maybe little overdubs and stuff, all that did was open more doors for more musicians or more artists, I guess, to release music, okay? Today, we actually have software and modules available to composers and writers and whatever, that if you're just not getting through your songwriting process, you could buy actual modules that you can actually right now say, I want 12 chords in the style of something, and I need it to be in this tempo and kind of sound like this artist. Literally, this is not AI, this is a module. There's like 3 of them out there. I'm not going to mention the names. And then it'll give you an answer within the body of that software. It doesn't go out. Like AI is going out to creative. You still have to buy this. And then all of a sudden it gives you all these chords that you can drag and drop and put it in any kind of digital audio workspace. Not the $1,000 ones, not the super fancy ones, even the ones that are, more consumer friendly. I call them prosumer products. And there you have tracks, drum samples, MIDI programs. You can already do this. At that point, it still requires you, though, to make a creative selection to go, oh, I like this chord. Let me try this chord. Oh, this doesn't work. Now, you may not necessarily have to be the musician that many are, with hands on an instrument and stuff, and now you're dragging and dropping guitar loops and this and stuff. But at the end of the day, you still are the one who's pulling these tracks in to make something creative. Now, when it comes to AI in music, the big conversation is, well, who owns it? If you go to ChatGPT, or is that what it's called? GTP? I'm sorry, forget. Or any one of the numbers. I just came across one where they actually will sing vocals for you. But who owns it? We don't know right now. Is anybody going to release something with an AI piece of music and it becomes super famous? It's a very big chance that will happen in the near future. That 1 or 2 or 3 times. But now you need somebody to back it up, right? You need that singer. That singer's, unless you're gonna do a complete 100% AI project that doesn't entail anybody physically getting up and performing. Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna happen. But then at the end of the day, music in of itself has become social currency, and people are not making a lot of money on selling the units of music. The money for what's left of it coming in is still about people going out and performing. And while everybody tries to figure out whether or not AI is who owns it, if it'll destroy the creative world as a whole, like I can't see AI making, throwing clay and doing pottery. Hang on. I know some people say, what are you talking about? You could take that, put it in a computer. Yes, you can. We've been doing that for years. Really, automated work, right? If you tell somebody, hey, AI, can you make something in the shape of a vase that looks like this? And it goes, and there it is. And it probably makes that same sound too. But as far as music's concerned, AI, the way I see it, could be a fun tool for people to learn with, okay, or learn by. In the future, as the sounds get better, it's possible that songs will come out. Will that dilute the bass of music going out there? Most likely. Kind of like our ears have been diluted to less than perfect audio files. Even the highest grade MP3, if you ask an audiophile, isn't like the real thing. But the masses as a whole, they don't care. They're listening to it through $30 pods. A whole nother conversation. I think it's an interesting turn for me in all the years that I've been in the business. I think if there is one part of the music industry that could potentially suffer, would be actually the business that I used to be in. And that's music libraries. And that's production music. And that's music that has, if I was to say, I need maybe in a year, because I've tried a few and I'm like, we're still a bit of ways. But maybe in a year or two, if I said, just like if you were to go to a stock music company to get some music for something, there's all those filters. How many beats per minute do you want it? In the style of, with what kind of sounds, what kind of instrumentation. If I could take that whole combo and put it into AI, and it's spitting out 10 tracks in 10 minutes that are any length that I want. And this last one I just went to, you can actually change the velocity, or you can change the amount of arrangement per blocks of measures. I'm thinking, well, if I'm a producer and I don't want to deal with, if I'm a visual producer and I don't want to deal with any music hassles and I don't want to pay a licensing fee and I don't want to do all that, I just need a little something that's going to go against this scene. You might use this technology, you know, for a homogeneous piece of music. I think that maybe that might be the closest where the music industry might feel a little bit of a twitch, if you would, you know, in the future with AI. But as far as, I mean, come on, let's think about it. How it's been since the 80s since people have taken pieces of music and put drum machines behind it, and you would think that would be the end of the world, and it's not. I think the bigger issue with AI and all the arts has to do with the derivative, which is like I was talking about in those filters. You always say, I'd like it to sound like. I'd like it to sound like. So if I'd like it to sound like Black Sabbath, and I'd like it to have a 70s, now we're starting to talk technicalities, and I don't know where AI is with it, to be mixed like, you know? I think right now for the visual creatives and AI, if I said, you know, paint me in a way of Van Gogh, that might be kind of trippy. But do something in the style of Black Sabbath, and I want it to be mixed like Nevermore, and I want it, you know what I'm saying? All these things, And at the end of the day, as long as you're picking up your guitar and your bass, when bass players and guitar players used to, or were kind of like really tripping out in the early 80s about synths and stuff, there's more guitar players and bass players than ever. Whether they, in the world of making money as a bass player or a guitar player, got any different treatment financially, because they say, well, I could just get the DX7 to play it. Well, yeah, you can, but it sounds like crap. You know? I mean, technology has pushed many doors open and has blown a few doors down. Loopers. Let's talk about loopers for a second. You know, the loopers, you know, that the buskers use, or people who are performing all around the world that are getting paid so horrendously in the sense that they can't afford a band. So now they've had to go to loopers, you know, and still yet there's technology making it so that you need less individuals, but now the looper actually is a different kind of genius and having to stop and put in and sing while you're sitting there and doing songs. Of course, it has its limitations as well, but I don't know. This was a 3:15 in the morning rant. 3:15 in the morning my time, and I just don't. I don't see it as AI destroying the music industry. As much as I'm seeing it, it's just another fun possible tool. Who knows what tomorrow holds? But at the end of the day, right now, we're still reliant on somebody doing a video and showing their face, you know? And as long as that's still the key part of entertainment, then, all right, maybe AI might generate the tracks, maybe even generate the vocals. Maybe it's a kick-ass song. We don't really know who owns it right now. Until you iron that out, it's still kind of wide open. But I don't know. That was just my long rant. And I just thought I'd put it out there because I couldn't sleep. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on whether you think AI, you know, what you believe AI will be in the face of creativity. And, you know, we're bound for massive change in how fast technology has rolled over the industrial industry, and we're into the technology industry and the advancements of possibilities of the last 25, 30 years because of technology. So we're bound for change, but you know, if you stay on top of the mountain going, no, this is the way it needs to be, and this is how it's going to be, and it's going to be horrible, and it's going to be, then that's the position in which you're going to come from on this. On the other side, I look at this as possibility, and but still a lot to be, needed out as it moves on. Super long ass video. I'll see you guys later. See ya.